market cars, I think this might just be my favourite. Welcome to the Hagerty Bull Market 2022. In this episode, we've selected this little French fancy. The proposal for the Renault 4 was that it should be a car akin to a popular pair of trousers. Renault CEO Pierre Dreyfus said, "I want a versatile car, one that's urban and rural at the same time, and one that suits the needs of everyone. Call it the blue jeans car." It was in production over 4 decades, starting in 1961, and is regarded as the first mass-produced hatchback. And it really was mass-produced. Over 8 million of these were produced in its 33-year lifespan. The really early cars actually had nothing behind the C-pillars, it was just bodywork. This is quite a late car from 1988, and actually it's got a fabulous set of stickers on the rear side windows back there that are somehow very fitting for this. I love them. This is also a Clan. There were lots of special editions of the Renault 4. This Clan, obviously, matching the old seats here. Basically, it was just a standard car. They're just a bit of a special edition. But they did do things like the Plein Air, which had no roof and no doors, and looks a bit like the sort of the Citroen Mahari, sort of that sort of whole, nipping to the beach in Cannes type thing. But actually came about through a request from the French army. Then there are things like the Fourgonnette, which is the sort of the quintessential French boulangerie van, which just looked great. This was actually hugely popular all around the world. One of the markets it was most popular in was Colombia, where it was known as Amigo Fiel, or faithful friend. In Swahili, in Kenya, it was Rojo, which means spirit. So the Renault 4 is loved all over the world, but why is this apparently commonplace car going up in value? Here to tell us more is John Mayhead, editor of the UK Hagerty Price Guide.
It's one of the best-selling cars of all time, and yet there are so few around, and there are so few good ones around. In terms of the values, our value ranges from about £2,800 to about £8,400 in the Hagerty Price Guide, and yet we've seen those values increase by nearly 40% over the last 2 years. And really interestingly, in 2021, we've seen 3 auction results that we've tracked sell for more than that. And it's a real marker. So these are cars that are suddenly starting to be noticed as being collectible cars, whereas previously they really weren't. I think the turning point was probably back in September last year when Art Curial sold one, and it was an art car. It was a very special Allemande art car, but it sold for €40,000. This is a Renault 4 that sold for €40,000. And then, things like that are little triggers on the market that people start to go, I remember that was a really cool car. And then this year we've seen 3 in the UK all sell, as I say, for over £10,000. And that's a big market.
Despite only producing around 30 brake horsepower, it looks like the Renault 4 is starting to have some big pulling power on the market. But would it actually be fun to own and drive? I am loving driving this. To be honest, I never really got the Citroen 2 CV thing, but a Renault 4, love it, absolutely love it. Obviously, perhaps the biggest thing we need to talk about is this gear shift. Sorry, just excuse me whilst we engage in the lean round corners. There's a lot of lean, but this gear shift, which sprouts from the dash, it looks weird and you think that's going to be really tricky to use. You just have to think about it like a normal H-pattern gearbox, and then it's absolutely fine. What it does is the shaft goes over the top of the engine and down to the gearbox, so it's sort of actually mid-engine, because the engine, the inline 4, sits longitudinally behind the front axle, and the gearbox is in front of that, hence it's being up there. It's all a very odd arrangement, but it's quite fun to use. It's quite a nice gear shift actually. Or some of the other sort of sequential shift about this being up here and sort of punching forwards and pulling backwards, just in an H-pattern style. The very early cars, up to about 1968, had a 3-speed, but after that they had a 4-speed like this. It's got torsion beam independent suspension all round to give it that sort of distinctive sort of ride quality. It's body on frame, it's very simple, and it only weighs, well, they weighed anywhere between 600 and 750 kilos, so an incredibly light car. I love the fact that these have that very old practical car thing of being, well, all at once incredibly intimate in its interior, but actually pretty spacious as well. What a lovely little thing. It seems so incongruous driving this on a track. Although they did actually, you know, the Ford GTL did take part in Paris-Dakar, obviously. Why wouldn't you put one of these through Paris-Dakar? Of all the bull market cars, I think this might just be my favourite. I can imagine pottering around in one of these in my dotage.
That then is a brief look at the once very prosaic and now rather prized Renault 4. As you can tell, I was rather smitten with it, but perhaps you're more of a sports car person, or maybe you're more disposed to luxury. If so, be sure to look out for the rest of the Carfection films on the other entries in the 2022 Hagerty Bull Market.
Cool. Hello. Thank you very much indeed for watching that. I hope you enjoyed it. We've got 10 in this series, so do make sure you are subscribed to Carfection. Have a look at the Hagerty articles as well, because they've written about them, so frequently more depth than I had time to talk about in some of the cars, so have a look at those as well. We've got links to all those in the description down below. So yeah, there we go. Hope you enjoy it. See you next time.